Welcome back. We're picking up right where we left off last time with no introduction needed. We did a point of clarification to make. First of all, Jason apparently is in the shadows of death, which is fine. Sometimes you can look a little dark. There you go. That's what you want. The camera's being a little weird today. I don't know what's going on with him, but we're not going to worry about that. He can be orange if he wants to. Our group did have a couple of things that we need to resolve before we worry about taking any long rests. So, first of all, Karash had wandered outside with... how are you pronouncing her name? Debith?
Yeah.
Let's go with that then. Debith. Steven. So you guys head outside the barracks. I'm assuming you're staying inside the wall still, but just out in the courtyard area.
Oh, we're not going very far.
Yeah.
We're gonna go. We're gonna go wander up to the people that are tied up, sitting in a circle.
Okay.
Oh God.
Oh boy.
Is this what passes as romance in your clan?
You guys overlooked this possibility.
Don't judge me. You don't know me. I'm going to pull out my sword, and as I get closer to the nice tied-up gentlemen, I'm going to inform them that under no uncertain circumstances they have a choice of informing me of where the slaves were going, and if they don't, they're going to get hurt for it.
Okay. Go ahead and make an intimidation check.
Oh my god.
Do any of us have even a chance of overhearing?
Nope.
I don't want
15.
a chance. I just want this to happen.
15 on intimidation.
15?
Yep.
Okay. Four of these dudes have blades armor, 3 do not, as mentioned. 3 of them seem to be more run-of-the-mill mercenaries.
Mm-hmm.
All bound together inside this one really thick, pretty tight rope. You can see they're relatively uncomfortable to begin with, but they've also just been kind of chilling there because, well, they got their ass kicked, and this is their lot in life now. A couple of them in particular, both with blades, leather armor on, seem to be the ones that are the most responsive. A couple of them mutter something about this job not being worth it. A couple of them seem more intimidated because of your presence and quickly kind of back off to like, I didn't know anything, man. It was just a job I was getting paid for. I don't know what's going on. But the two in the blades armor in particular, they both seem... I mean, they look a little bit standoffish, but for the most part, they seem like they want to kind of go along with you because they don't really want to get hurt. And they still tell you that they don't know anything about where the slaves are going.
And I don't feel like any of them are lying to me in particular. They're just.
I mean, you could make kind of like a group insight check of sorts.
Okay, I'll do an insight check.
Catch-all, sure.
3. It's a 3.
Yeah, I mean, they look really scared of you. And for a minute, you're like, I'm kind of awesome.
Yeah.
These people are afraid of me. I haven't even done anything to them yet. What was I thinking about again? If they were telling, I don't remember anymore. I'm sure they're telling the truth.
Oh, all right, fair enough. All right, I'm gonna start walking away with Debith then. And if I see a rock, I'll pick it up and throw it back at one of their heads.
Oh my god.
I like to say a big rock.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we talking a pebble or are we talking like a rock?
Yeah, my first thought
something-
was like head-sized.
Something analogous to a baseball for my hand size.
My thought was you went over and picked up the building that the bar was in and just threw it at them. Oh, well, that's very different. That's group massacre. Go ahead and make an attack roll, just out of curiosity.
Just what do I roll?
Let's, for the sake of quickness, just make a strength check.
Okay, works for me.
We can do a thing with like improvised or deduct as necessary, but the hell with that.
13.
13. Yeah, you're able
specifically, I would be aiming for one of the blades. Just
right.
FYI.
No, and you're able to catch one of the two who gave you sort of a look, but not really, right in the temple. And there's just like a slow little trickle of blood.
Oh, come on, man!
Yeah, it's another part of his really bad day.
And as we walk away, I'm going to tell Debith to, when we get back inside, to hand out 1 gold to each of the people we found sleeping with each of the slaves with me, and keep the rest in case we need to pay for something or something big comes up.
She says, "It's very generous of you. but I'm sure people won't turn it down as much as they've been through. She also kind of looks at you, and she's been taking stock of you this whole time, just seeing how you're acting. She hasn't seen you in a while, so it's not like you're vastly different, but there's still something very different about the Karash that she knew back home. There's a hardness, a gruffness to the exterior.
You look so handsome.
But in moments like that, yeah, Stuart currently has a wet dream. In moments where, like what just happened, she sees sort of like the old you, and she tells you as much. Like, it's nice to see that, despite everything that's happened, you're still in there somewhere.
I haven't gone anywhere. Just been a rough couple of years trying to find you. Find everybody.
I didn't want to tell you this while there were a lot of people around. I didn't want to set you off, if anything. I wasn't sure how you would react, but I saw Kava in Sagara Cove.
Is she alive?
She was alive. I don't know where she was heading, but we were just happy to run into some other survivors. I hadn't seen anybody else from back home until I met up with her at Sagara Cove. She was there maybe a week before I was captured, so I have to think she's safe. I don't think she was... Like, she left town. I don't know where she was headed, but she wasn't in Sagara Cove anymore. So she's out there somewhere. I wish I could tell you where, but I don't think she's been caught up in this.
How? It doesn't... How would she... Okay. I guess we'll have to keep looking for her.
She told me that she wanted... I mean, you know how she was. She was always too forgiving, if anything, which is not really like us, but she wanted any other survivors that we could find to try and start over. To not worry so much about Bereave and what he did, but to try and rebuild our lives if we could.
That's a eventual goal that we'll discuss.
And she kind of nodded. She's like, she didn't really expect that to be, well, I'm going to go do that now, but...
I'm still going to look as long as I have to find everybody else, and if I find Bereave on the way, that's one thing, but I just want my family back.
I understand. I don't think she expects you to forgive Bereave. None of us is going to forgive Bereave. Hope he burns in all the 9 hells.
And if I come across him, that may be exactly what happens, but for now, it's finding everyone else. I can't fathom being with that family for any longer. It's been awful. I have friends, but it's not the same.
Keep an eye out for her. She does not know that you survived. She would be overjoyed at the news.
Does everyone think I was dead?
Yeah. Haven't seen you since. We think, for better or worse, we think that we're just assuming almost everybody's gone.
Mm-hmm. But you haven't spoke with anyone else since you were in Sagara Cove?
No, not in the mainland.
Yeah. Do you have any idea where anyone else was sent, even?
I suspect that the only person who would know the answer to that is Bereave.
Yeah, then I guess he's next in line to be found.
What he did with everybody after he assaulted us that night, I don't know. I mean, so many were killed, and then what he did with the survivors, we can only hope for the best. There's at least 3 of us. That's a start.
3? Oh, right.
I forgot counting wasn't really your strong suit, Karash. That's on me. I apologize.
I didn't count me.
You're a person too, Karash. You're important.
I've got my talents. They just lie elsewhere.
I'm just saying, don't give up hope. Even in the most dire of situations, there may be reason for hope. If we were able to make it through, who knows who else may have been able to survive.
That's a good point. Thank you.
Thank you. Who knows what kind of trouble we would have been if you guys hadn't showed up. I appreciate it.
Yeah. can't imagine. We should get back and rest. I haven't been asleep for a day and a half.
On the inside, everybody who was sticking around for food, they're essentially like those people were making the food over in that makeshift kitchen, and then they're having people essentially like bring it over to the tavern type place because that has more tables and chairs and whatnot. They don't want people eating in the beds. That's just weird. Don't eat in your bed. You get crumbs in your bed. This has been a PSA. But Tanis is inside. He's actually giving out drinks for free for anybody who wants them. It's also giving out like water and things if people aren't interested in an alcoholic beverage at 11 in the morning. But I think that was everybody but Stuart was gonna.
Well, if the food smells good, the allure will be too strong.
Okay.
It was like jerky and bread, so I don't know if it's going to smell at all.
No, we said there were some good cooks.
Maybe he loves the smell of jerky.
I
But
do like
cooking
jerky.
jerky. Cooking for a second time jerky.
Yeah, like rehydrating meat.
Yeah. It's like bacon, but not.
I want some water.
Yeah, right? No more drinking in the middle of
I'm
the morning.
thirsty.
Right. So the four of you are able to kind of put together a decent plate of stuff. Certainly serviceable. Not quite the meal that you had back in Cigar Cove. The hotel and the bar were both taking pretty good care of you. But serviceable, filling. Maybe not the tastiest, but good.
I make it the tastiest. I use prestidigitation on my food and anybody else's if they want it to be tasty.
Well, I don't think I can have the jerky, so I should probably make some of my bread a little more tasty, because that's all I'm having. So yes, Lena will ask Tessian for some flavor modifications on her bread.
Give me the old razzle dazzle.
The old razzle dazzle. And how many of these can I have up at a time? I think it's 3. Yeah, good. There's 3 of us, so he pretty much just is like, well, what are you in the mood for tonight? Food wise, I guess.
Let's see. Get some classic steak and potatoes.
And he'll razzle dazzle you some steak and potato flavored jerky.
Oh, amazing.
This is why the Ancient Ones brought magic back into the world.
That's what it's here for, right
Yeah.
there.
Okay, so the 3 of you have tastier food, thanks to magic modification. Stuart, coming in late to the party, has regular food.
I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good with regular food. I'm washing down the jerky with my water,
Okay.
so it's particularly diluted.
And around you are different people that you were helped rescue in varying states at different tables. You guys kind of have a table to yourself in this place. But happily accepting food. There's a little bit more cheer now. They've kind of settled on the fact that they're still not entirely sure what happened to them, but the fact that they are now safe has done a lot for morale. And now there's also food and a place to rest. So spirits have been uplifted a bit. There are some people who are talking, maybe trying to piece together what happened, seeing where they're from. The general murmur you get is a lot of these people are indeed from Cigar Cove or Denard. So the most recent stragglers appear to be from exactly what the manifesto was talking about. But it's also your first opportunity to have like a breath of fresh air. You actually can like take a step back, sit down, just like the threat's not over long term. Obviously, there's still a lot to be done, but like in the immediate aftermath, what's happening right now, situation appears to be clear. The Crusade members have things under control. The place has been cleared out. Any remaining people are the ones that are in binds outside. You can finally take a moment to just be like, okay, we did it.
It's a good feeling.
As I chew on my jerky, I am reading Tales of the Gunslinger 4, Legend of the Glass Dagger.
Okay,
And I seem to be enjoying it.
it's quite good.
Tessian will strike up a conversation with Grail, and
Oh.
he'll be like, "So, young Grail, who's this Holden fellow? Is he someone special to you?"
Where'd you hear that?
And he's like, "Well, I heard you asking about him. Is your boyfriend gotten into trouble?"
Not my boyfriend. I have been trying to keep it not exactly under wraps, but he's my brother, actually, my younger brother. He's gotten himself into some bad folk, the Blades, I think, and I'm looking for him. But if you wouldn't mind not talking about him, I would prefer that. But yes, I am looking for him. We grew up on a ranch together, and he's my baby brother. Like, I don't know what to do about it. It's very scary.
And Tessian's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry, and I will definitely be discreet about it. I've got 2 sisters myself. I understand family, and I'll do what I can to help you out. You've done your best to watch our back, so we should at least owe you the courtesy back.
I appreciate that. You have 2 sisters?
And he's like, yes, I do.
Where are they at?
Oh, well, my younger sister, I imagine, is back in Black Harbor, and, well, let's see, the last time I had spoken to Angeline, she was, headed off somewhere, not sure where. She travels a little bit, but, she's a Grey Knight, not too unlike, Karash, a warrior of sorts, back from where I come from.
That sounds nice.
And he said, yes, unfortunately, my younger sister, she isn't allowed to get out much. She's the heir to the throne, of course, so added level of protection. That's
wow.
one thing. Yes.
Heir to the throne. That sounds fancy.
And he's like, well, yes, I may be a prince, but my place is not to sit on the throne like hers.
Prince Tessian. I just kind of laugh and kind of slap my knee because I think it's hilarious.
Was your family
a very
involved?
different life than what I've led my whole life.
And he's like, yes, what has your life been like? A farm? Did you, cows, chickens,
Sheep.
that sort of thing? Sheep?
Yep.
Oh.
Sheep. I was a shepherd with my family for many, many years. I had every intention of taking up the ranch in their stead, but that's not what happened, unfortunately.
He's like, what about your magic? You seem to be at least an adept illusionist. I mistook you for somebody who might have had some training. Is that true?
No training whatsoever. There's still a lot I don't know about this magic or why I even have it, honestly. It's something from my grandmother, I believe, or my mother's side. Honestly, this is the first time it's really come up. I've had dreams in the past, weird, they come true is what I'm trying to say. I have dreams and they happen. It's very strange, but after those dreams, then I also started having some weird illusion magic, and it's hard to say. I don't really know what I'm doing with it, but it's starting to become more natural. Nothing like what you can do, though.
And he's like, well, I suppose, but you say you have dreams. That's, do be sure to share them if you can. Divination magic can be tricky. Don't put too much faith in it, but, they can be important sometimes, I know I've known a few diviners in my time, and if your magic is innate and you ever have any questions, feel free to ask. I come from a very long line of sorcerers, and innate magic is something that my family has a wealth of knowledge on. I've studied it for years, so if you ever need any assistance, just let me know.
I appreciate it. This is the first time I've ever heard of the word diviner.
So a long line of sorcerers and a prince. How was your family related to the war?
Oh.
What was your involvement?
And he's like, well, Black Harbor didn't have much of an involvement now that you ask. Believe it or not, we take good care of our people, and they didn't feel the need to join the Gears. We do our best to ensure that our people are well taken care of. We don't lord over them. My family has a motto: to rule is to serve, and we live by it. We serve at the behest of the people, and we do everything we can to take care of them.
That's
Believe
good
it
to
or not.
hear. If you're being 100% honest, you're a rare breed. You and your family.
He's like, well, we're not flawless, of course, but you have to understand things work a little differently in Black Harbor than they do elsewhere.
How so?
He's like, well, it's complicated. Let's just put it that way. To describe to you the entire political climate of my city would be quite an endeavor, more than how long this jerky will last us.
No, but in my experience, those in power are just too willing to take advantage of those underneath them. So if you really do look out for the people underneath you, that's quite a feat.
Well, you have to understand, in Black Harbor, if we aren't doing our job, they would quickly unseat us. That's been the truth of it, and will always be the truth of it. It's a check of power. That's how it works.
Sounds like the rest of the world maybe should follow Black Harbor's example.
And he's like, well, that would be impossible, but yes, it would be ideal.
Then maybe one day, when we have more jerky, you can tell me why it's impossible, and maybe what we can do to amend that problem.
And Tessian's like, I'd love to, but it is quite a lengthy tale. Involves a number of things. My family has a responsibility. That's why I will not sit on the throne, and my sister will. But yes, perhaps when we have more jerky.
I hope if they are able, they can share whatever wisdom or resources that they have. Because every system I've ever seen, it just doesn't work.
Well, unfortunately, it has more to do with responsibility. And as I'm sure you know, most people in power like shirking that responsibility. And that is the problem.
What about you, Lena? I see you're not eating any jerky.
No, I don't eat meat. I'm a vegetarian. But I don't know. And she's definitely flustered that you've addressed her in all of this political talk. She doesn't really know how to deal with it at the moment.
Maybe sensing that you feel flustered, I just say, why I don't need to know your life story, just why vegetarian? Turning into animals, it kind of makes sense, but...
I've never really thought about it before. It's just a life choice that I've always lived by, as long as I can remember.
Does your family also not partake of meat?
They do.
Okay.
Do not.
Do not. Okay. Just fact checking.
Yes, they don't.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, all of my family chooses to not eat meat.
You've never tried meat, ever, not once.
I haven't.
That's mighty impressive.
Tessian grabs the nearest piece of bread, makes it taste like steak.
Oh my gosh!
Hands it to her. And then he goes, here, try this. Steak. Some of the finest out there.
I am so charmed by Tessian right now. I'll just have you know.
And I'm a little hesitant, but okay, because it's not actually meat. I'm a little, conflicted because it looks like bread, but it obviously doesn't taste like it. So I bite into it, and then Stuart takes the remainder. That's probably good. And kind of sit chewing it for a second. I don't really know what to think about it. It's unusual. It's unlike anything I've ever had.
He's like, well, the texture's not there because it's just bread, of course. But, there's something about the chewing that can really bring it all together.
And I nod and I say, well, thank you for letting me try meat but not try meat. But I think I'll stick to salads and berries and such.
He's like, that's good. So, Stuart, what about you? Do you, perhaps want to give us your real name at some point or anything like that?
I figured you knew my name was not Stuart, but for now, let's keep it as Stuart, and I'm sure we will come across a time where maybe I can give you more about my backstory. I think it's better for everyone if we just keep it here for now.
And he's like, very well. Although I feel I should warn you. I mean, you have done your best to protect us when it's come down to it. But when we were having our little scuffle with Jameson, he did mention that there was a man matching your description running around killing people. Do you happen to know anything about that?
Killing who?
Nobles, I believe, was what he had said.
I can't speak for sure, but if they were nobles, just speaking hypothetically, it would seem like maybe those are the type of people who maybe would deserve to die. Maybe they are in a position of power and have abused it. And they've been playing at the top of their little game for too long and consider themselves untouchable.
I shrink away just a little bit now that you're saying all that.
And Tessian's like, well, I'm sure you can understand where a man of my standing might find that a little concerning to be traveling with someone who may or may not be in the habit of killing nobles.
Well, luckily, hypothetically, if I was that person, you seem to be doing just fine. You would, I would think, not be in the sights of such a person. Have you abused power? Have you stepped on those below you to rise to a level above them?
And Assassin's like, well, hypothetically, if I was one of the people that did do those sorts of things, I don't believe I'd tell you, would I?
Maybe when I give you my real name, you can let me know your past, and we can just go from there.
And
I'm
Tessian,
side-eyeing like Lena, and I'm just being like, "Ugh."
Yeah, I'm also matching
tension
your
here.
facial expressions right now. I am not
Tessian's
liking
like,
this.
very well, Stuart, that's fine.
I would imagine if such a person really were going around killing nobles, he or she has done their homework and has discovered that these nobles probably deserve it and have probably been caught red-handed abusing that power.
And Tessian's like, well, it's been my experience that the only reason a person wears a mask is when they're afraid that their own actions may get them in trouble. But, as you say.
That can be a reason. There is also a reason one would not want their true identity to get out there. Maybe they're being looked for, and they would rather not be found at the moment.
Yes, and it's the reason that they don't want to be found that concerns me, Stuart. But, I mean, that's all hypothetically, of course. Yes.
Yeah, there are a myriad of reasons, really.
And he's like, yes, it's just about half of those that concern me. But, of course, that's not you. We're all speaking hypothetically.
Of course. You know, it's a coin flip, really. We can just hope that I am not this person that you're talking about, and we can hope that you really are that rare breed of noble who looks after their kingdom.
And Tessian's like, well, I have an entire kingdom and history to back up my claim. Let's hope that this man has more than hypotheticals to back up his.
Time will tell.
I'm gonna go play banjo.
And then I get up to you and say, can I play ocarina with you?
Hey Lena, do you wanna play music with me?
Yes.
Was I here for any of this, or am I still walking back?
It was a long conversation, so maybe.
I texted you trying to keep it from interrupting, and I realized that all our phones are off, so you wouldn't get the text. So if you had wanted to join in,
Okay. No, I was assuming I wasn't there still, so I was just like.
no, I mean.
But if I am there, I'm totally gonna go like. What just happened?
Yeah, no, your aside would have taken maybe the first chunk of that, but you would have had time to have gotten food if you wanted to join them for the latter, like 2/3 of it.
Find me some fish.
Yes. Eat you some fish.
Utterly confused.
No, but like
I'm gonna ask Tessian to recap or ask Tessian, did you find anything inside the office?
Oh, and Tessian will give him the gist. He's like, yeah, we found not much, unfortunately. Not a destination of sorts, but some of the names we saw before. Whitford Thorogood, and we know that they were taking people from Cigar Cove, and I don't remember the name of the other city because I haven't written it down. Yeah, Dinar. So I don't have my pencil with me. But yeah. So yeah, he'll just give you the basic summary.
Okay. Oh, and I'll take the gold from Dabith and throw it in the between everybody and say, we handed out half of it to the people that were the slaves that we found, and that's the rest.
That's mighty kind of you.
Well, they probably don't have anything, so.
It's fair.
So, Karash, you
I
don't
guess-
have... Oh, go ahead, Tessian.
How much gold is there? I guess Tessian can go about divvying it up. So
Should be
leftover-
50 left, I think.
Yeah, with a gold for everybody, we'll just call it 50 gold for the sake of expediency. That divides by 5 really easily.
That's so convenient.
Wow.
So 10 gold to everybody. He'll stack it all up like poker chips and pass it out.
EA poker chips.
Karash, you don't have a lot of experience with music, correct?
He sings.
No. I believe what I said was, my clan sings, and I'm a member of my clan.
Yeah, so that means that you sing too.
I have no comment on any of this.
Well,
I'm going to go sit in
Karash,
the corner.
No.
I ask because
Not David.
we're about to have a little show with Grail and Lena. So, and I pat the chair next to me and I say, "Why don't you come have a seat and we'll listen to this music. Maybe you can become introduced to the idea of it."
I'm going to sit with David, wherever she is at.
Well, there were two chairs.
I'm going to sit with David next to 2 chairs, possibly the chair that's farthest from Stuart.
So now the one's next to me that I reserved specially for you.
Yeah, he takes Grail and Lena's vacant seat now instead. Let's have the two of you do a performance check, because Lord knows how many opportunities we're going to have to do performance checks. Why not take them while they're here?
They're so fun. Oh, whoops.
12.
14.
Do you guys not have bonuses to them? You're proficient in your
I
instrument.
do, yeah.
I'm terrible because it's charisma, and my charisma's a -1.
but you are aren't you
Aha,
proficient in your
that's
ocarina
true.
or whatever?
Oh,
So if
So,
you click,
Mine's 16 then. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
+2.
So in theory, you shouldn't have to, like, it doesn't necessarily use your performance. It actually uses your tool proficiency,
That's
or
a good
it could use it
point.
both. But yeah,
I see it.
So it'll be a plus
Okay,
1
well,
instead of a
16, the
-1.
exact same thing that I had before.
Oh.
So it'd be like a
14 for
Yeah.
it was a 12, right?
yeah.
So it'd be a 14 instead, because it becomes a +1 instead of
Yeah.
a -1, because your proficiency's 2.
Okay, where is that? I don't have to find it right this second. I can look later, I guess.
Yeah,
but-
we might have to see if we can get like something specific for just playing
Yeah.
that, as opposed to running the mill
I don't
performance
even
check,
like
whatever that would
my
be.
ocarina isn't even here in my stuff. So we'll
there's a thing where you can add it. There's a plus button under tools. It's under passive wisdom, and you can add it and set what attribute it is. So probably charisma, which is what performance is. don't know if you
okay, I see
So we'll
it
work on
now.
that in the in-between.
Yes. The
You don't
point
even
is
have an
we're
ocarina in your inventory. You don't play anything. You're playing nothing. We're like, nah. So between the two of you, you kind of go over to one of the corners opposite the bar, and you play for a good 15 minutes. And a lot of the people are just happy to have something that again resembles more like regular life, because whatever they've been going through recently is certainly not that. And it's a relatively good performance. You guys gel a lot better than you did the first time when someone was a little distracted.
That was me.
I don't know which one. I just know somebody was.
So
Someone.
during the performance, which is great, it's really nice. Great job, guys.
These are heartfelt right now.
I lean toward Tessian and I say, I don't know what the future will hold, but you've been a good ally so far. I don't want that to go unsaid. There's no reason to talk in veiled speech, but if we make it through this next mission, I think I will feel comfortable telling you more about myself. I just have a hard time trusting, and maybe one day you'll figure out why, but it's best if I keep things close to my chest for now.
And Tessian will nod, and he's like, well, I appreciate your candor, even though you haven't given me much, but you prove to be a gun hand, I guess? I don't know. A worthy shot in combat, and you have yet to take any sort of action towards us. So at the very least, you have my trust until such a time as you don't. He's like, but none of that now. Let's listen to them play.
That's fair. And I lean back and kick open my book again. Kick open the book. That's what I do.
That's impressive.
You didn't know this, but he was reading the book with his toes the whole time. It's quite impressive. As they're wrapping up their performance,
are there any people dancing?
Yeah, there are a handful who are.
Aww.
Okay.
That's cute.
That's so cute.
Oh.
That inspires me to be even better.
Yes.
I nudge Karash.
Care
And
for
I
a
say,
dance.
You don't play instruments. Do you dance in your clan, Karash?
No.
Oh.
I'm just thinking, maybe Debeth would like to dance or something, but I'll leave it up to you. And I pat
Do
him
you
on
have
his
any
shoulder.
idea what our relationship was before this?
Wait, what?
Do you have any idea what our relationship was before this?
No.
Yeah. So she could be my sister.
Yeah.
So?
Dancing with your sister is fun.
You don't want your sister to have fun? You hate your sister?
You clearly do not understand Dragonborn.
Aw.
It is different.
But if all this talk of dancing, Tessian will go up and find someone and invite them to dance or something.
Yeah, this is not. How do we put this in a way that's? This is not like the cream of the crop. This is.
Oh.
This is so like Tessian. You're normally interested in people who look like very different or have like a defining characteristic. In this particular situation, you make you make do with what you can. There's not anybody who's like, oh my god, like that person is from
common. They're
He's
common.
trying to increase morale more than anything.
Yeah.
So
I
he's
thought
just
you were
trying to
saying
find
the
somebody.
music wasn't quite dancing level.
Yeah,
It's more like a frat boy in their dorm tuning their guitar.
right.
Than
It's like every EDM DJ. They think they're good, but they're actually fucking awful. Sorry, EDM DJs. I just turned out a whole chunk of our viewership.